any office in the national leadership of APGA. You understand? And we have written to the commission and we challenge them to produce any court order. You know, an order of court or a judgment of court is something that must be clear and unequivocal. You don't defer judgment of court. You don't say because there is no A, therefore there is B. No, there must be a direct order mandating the commission that so and so person is the national chair. And that's why when we challenge them, in fact, we have stated it clearly that what INEC did was simply to avoid an embarrassment, you know, so to speak, because there was a pending contempt proceedings against the chairman. And the contempt proceedings that was pending against the chairman was not even in respect of the judgment of the court. It was in respect of an earlier order, because the court granted an order in the course of the matter before the judgment, restraining Oye, the former national chairman, Chief Victor Oye, from conducting any congress. So that was in respect of which the contempt proceedings was pending. And the position was made clear. APGA was not a party in the matter. I was not a party. Nobody in our leadership was made a party or was joined in that matter before the court. And we made it very clear that it is a political party that conducts convention, not an individual. You can't say there's nothing like Dr. Victor Oye National Convention. No, it is APGA National Convention. Because the Supreme Court has said, as I think you recall, sometime in 2020, when there was primaries for Ondo governorship primaries of APC. And then I think it was Governor Buni was the caretaker chairman. And some people challenged his capacity to conduct primaries or to hold any convention because they said he cannot hold dual executive position. And the court made it clear that it is not an individual, that the primaries of a political party where members of the party and delegates gather together to vote cannot be vitiated on account of want of authority by one person. So it is a political party that conducts convention, not an individual. Like I said, it's just for us to do a little introduction. I welcome our friends, the gentlemen of the press, to this press briefing. Here are seated some members of the National Executive Committee of the All Progressive Grand Alliance. I deliberately use the Executive Committee because we have about 2 state chairmen here, or either 2 or 3 state, 2 state chairmen. So it's no longer just the National Working Committee. So it's now just a delegation of the National Executive Committee of the All Progressive Grand Alliance. And you are all aware that as a political party, under the provisions of the 1999 Constitution, I think Section 223, that stipulates that political parties must hold its convention every 4 years, and is equally contained in APGA Constitution. APGA held its last national convention on the 31st of May 2023, where this current set of national officers were elected, duly monitored by INEC. There is a report to that effect. So let me start from my immediate left. That's the Chief Uchenwebo. Chief Uchenwebo is the Deputy National Chairman, South of APGA. Then my brother, Comrade Abdullahi Mohammed, is the Deputy National Chairman, North. Then just seated beside him, Alhaji Sadana Yero Eleman, is the National Vice Chairman, Northwest. And then the women leader, the Deputy Women Leader, Hajia Zuwaira Isa, is seated after him. Then the National Vice Chairman, Northeast, Alhaji Aminu Furo, is seated after her. Queen Odo of Lozo, one of our Bagana. I have to, this one you're not wearing your title cap. The National Youth Leader, Comrade Ezeokenwa, is here. The National Vice Chairman of the North Central, Alhaji Abdulaziz Arekora. Then the leader, National Leader Empowerment and Disability, because APGA is compliant. I think APGA, I don't know whether we have any other party that has that office. So he's the National Empowerment and Disability Leader, Comrade Ibrahim. The Nasarawa State Chairman is here. The National Organizing Secretary of the party, Barrister Ifeanyi Mberi, is here. Then my brother, Comrade Sility Chapter, my brother Sunday Oguche is equally here. And so these just select members have quite an enlightening and interesting session. Thank you. So I have a Ordinarily, I do not like, I think this is the first time I'm going to read for need for us to capture the various judgment or extant judgment of various courts at various times. There is that necessity for us to prepare a speech. I'll try as much as possible and be brief, even though it's quite a long one. I think you have it printed in hard copies. So once again, welcome to the National Secretariat of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA. Thank you. So I said full text of speech by Sylvester Ezeokenwa, National Chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, at the press conference held on July 19, 2024 at the APGA National Secretariat Complex, Katampe, Abuja. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, and members of the media, thank you for gathering here today for this press briefing. This briefing has become imperative in the light of the recent development around our great party. Quite undeservedly, we are going through harrowing but familiar circumstances. Most of you have come to associate with our great party, especially when Anambra governorship election is around the corner. This has become more of a quadrennial happening for desperate individuals and political merchants to stoke crisis in APGA in a desperate bid to derail the sustained progress that our great party has recorded in the past 18 years. It has been at the saddle of leadership in Anambra State, which incidentally is the only state that we are controlling. Someone might just be forced to exclaim, APGA again. You may not be wrong if you do, as we anticipated such clueless maneuvering from merchants of crisis, whose socioeconomic survival and political relevance is hinged on the number of crises they are able to invent and execute per time. Fortunately for us, at all times, we are always on the right side of the law, in whole and total. Recently, there have been lots of conflicting reports, misrepresentations, and inaccuracies bordering on APGA leadership, occasioned by the recent judgment of the Court of Appeal delivered on the 28th of June 2024. It must be stated at the outset that the integrity and clarity of judicial decisions are crucial for the stability and governance of our political system. These decisions form the bedrock on which our democratic processes rest, ensuring fairness, transparency, and justice. Upholding these principles is vital not only for the credibility of our institutions, but also for public trust and confidence in our political system. Moreover, the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, recognizes that clear and accurate communication from authoritative bodies such as the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is essential to prevent misconceptions and misinformation. Such inaccuracies can lead to unwarranted confusion and undermine the credibility of both the political entities involved and the democratic process as a whole. Sadly, the role of the Commission in the recent confusion leaves much to be desired and questions the independence of the Commission and the expectation that an entity like the Independent National Electoral Commission, being a creation of the law, ought to operate strictly within the ambit of the law. The role of leadership within a party like ours is foundational to our operational effectiveness and strategic direction. Therefore, any misrepresentation of leadership, especially when disseminated through official channels, can have far-reaching consequences on our organizational coherence and the morale of our members. It is therefore within this context that we wish to address recent developments and clarify the true state of our leadership based on court judgment. Today, I stand before you as the duly elected National Chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance to address an important issue concerning the leadership of our party and recent events involving the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Our esteemed members were outraged by the decision of the Independent National Electoral Commission to change the records of the National Working Committee members of APGA as clearly stated on its website. By the said publication, which was made, I think it was on the 9th of July, on its website, INEC purported to accord recognition to one Edozie Njoku as the national chairman of APGA. Even more curious is the fact that INEC claimed that the basis for such decision was court order. Incidentally, there was no official communication from INEC. Just what we saw was on the website, just wrote court order. Curiously, the commission is yet to furnish the public or even the leadership of our great party with the phantom court order that mandated them to accord recognition to the said Ezeokenwa and his cohort. Even more worrisome is the fact that the last national convention of our great party was duly attended by a team of INEC officials led by Barrister Festus Okoye. And INEC has the records of the national officers of APGA elected at the said national convention, which was held at the International Convention Center, Awka, Anambra State, on the 31st day of May 2023. We want to categorically state that as of this moment, APGA's legitimate leadership is under myself, Barrister Sylvester Ezeokenwa, the duly elected national chairman with his team of national, state, and local government officers. So I've decided to categorize the press briefing into various subheadings. Now, the second, that headed it, absence of legitimate court orders prompting the recognition of Ezeokenwa and his team by INEC. Upon meticulous review of all relevant judgments and orders made by various courts concerning the leadership tussle within APGA, we affirm that no existing court judgment or order recognizes the aforementioned individuals as legitimate office holders within APGA. There is no judicial directive or decision empowering the said individuals to hold these positions. Therefore, INEC's publication based on court orders is not only erroneous but misleading. We request that INEC immediately clarifies the court orders it purportedly relied upon to make such claims. We are aware that on June 28, 2024, the Court of Appeal in Abuja delivered judgment in appeal number CA/ABJ/CV/724/2023, Chief Victor Ikeoye versus Otumba Kamaru Ogidan and others. The court, in the said judgment, dismissed the appellant's appeal and affirmed the decision of the trial court. It is crucial to point out that, 1, APGA is not a party to either the suit or the appeal. Therefore, for whatever it is worth, APGA is not bound by the Court of Appeal judgment of June 28, 2024. The judgment only affected the appellant on record, Chief Victor Ikeoye, the immediate past national chairman of APGA. And incidentally, the judgment was delivered after he had left office. Regarding the order made by the trial court, this is very important, and endorsed by the Court of Appeal on actions taken by Chief Victor Ikeoye as regards congresses, conventions, primaries, meetings, or flag off of campaigns of any kind whatsoever. In essence, what the court did was to simply say that Chief Victor Ikeoye had no right to act as national chairman of APGA or to convene any congresses or convention whatsoever pursuant to the Supreme Court judgment. The Supreme Court now, the Supreme Court has previously settled this matter in the case of Jegede versus INEC. Citation is supplied. The Supreme Court held that it is party members who make decisions at congresses, conventions, and primaries, not the national officers of the political party. As per Justice Agim at page 552, the decision, I'm quoting the judgment of Honorable Justice Emmanuel Agim, the decision to sponsor a candidate as the candidate of a political party for a general election is taken by the relevant Congress or convention of the political party at a primary election held to nominate or select its candidate. For the election of a governor of a state, the decision is taken by the party members in that state at a state congress held to nominate or select the party's governorship candidate. This is expressly stated in section 87, subsection 4, paragraph B of the Electoral Act. The decision is not taken by the national officers of the political party. In this case, the decision was taken by the members of the second respondent in Ondo State at a congress held for that purpose. This same principle applies to congresses and national convention for electing political party executives. In other words, it was APGA members who made decisions at the May 2023 congresses and national convention, which were duly monitored by INEC and not Chief Victor Oye as the then national chairman. However, it is important to note that the recent Court of Appeal decision affirming the earlier decision of the FCT High Court did not make any pronouncement to the effect that Edozie Njoku was the national chairman of APGA. Indeed, all the pronouncements made by the court were in respect of decisions, actions, meetings, and congresses held by Chief Victor Oye in disobedience to the corrected Supreme Court judgment. It is a fact borne by the records of the trial court that the reliefs sought by the plaintiffs in that suit brought before the FCT High Court to the effect that they were duly elected at an Owerri convention and that their tenure of office were still running were not granted by the trial court. The above position is further strengthened by the concurring judgment of Justice P.C. Obiora, JCA, in the said Court of Appeal judgment, who stated, while it is clear that Chief Victor Oye was not in contemplation in the Supreme Court judgment, and thus has no claim to being national chairman, the Supreme Court judgment also made no pronouncement that Chief Edozie Njoku is the national chairman of APGA. The Apex Court reminded everyone that it needs to be stated that the dispute, that is now quoting the corrected Supreme Court judgment, over who should be the acting national chairman of APGA and whether chairman Edozie Njoku was validly replaced, falls within the internal affairs of APGA and is not justiciable. No matter how one looks at it, based on the facts of the Supreme Court judgment, which was predicated on a purported election conducted in Owerri, Imo State, on May 31, 2019, and considering the undisputed 4-year tenure for elected officers of the party, it is clear that any claim to office by virtue of the election of May 31, 2019 has expired. One, therefore, is at loss as to which judgment of the Court of Appeal or any other contained therein that specifically mandated INEC to accord recognition to Edozie Njoku as the national chairman of APGA. We make bold to state that there is none. Now, extant pronouncement by various courts in Nigeria on APGA leadership. It may be imperative at this juncture to go down memory lane to restate the extant and subsisting decisions of various courts in Nigeria on the true state of affairs with respect to the National Convention of APGA, held on the 31st of May, 2019, because it was the said National Convention and the allegation that there were parallel conventions that formed the bedrock of the leadership tussle. It is on record that the only valid National Convention of APGA held on the 31st day of May, 2019, was the National Convention of APGA held at the Professor Dora Women Development Center, Oka, where Chief Victor Ike Oye and other national officers were elected. The National Convention was subsequently validated by a subsisting judgment of the High Court of Anambra State, Oka, in suit number A/92-2020, Ichie Benjamin Onubolu versus All Progressive Grand Alliance and another, of which said judgment was delivered on November 18, 2020, to the effect that the APGA Congresses of May 2019, culminating in the National Convention held on May 31, 2019, in Oka, Anambra State, was valid and in accordance with the APGA Constitution. By judgment of the Court of Appeal, Kano Judicial Division, delivered on 10th of August 2021, the Court of Appeal set aside the infamous judgment of Jigawa State High Court, Birnin Kudu, on APGA national leadership. By the said judgment of the Court of Appeal, Kano, the court affirmed the status of Dr. Victor Ike Oye as the substantive national chairman of APGA, relying on the earlier judgment of Anambra State High Court in suit number A92-2020. Indeed, INEC was a party to this appeal and ought to reasonably be aware of the pronouncement made by the Court of Appeal. The judgment of the Court of Appeal, Kano, was further appealed to the Supreme Court in appeal number SC/CV/686/2021 and SC/CV/687/2021. INEC was the fourth respondent in both appeals. By a consolidated judgment of the Supreme Court delivered on the 14th of October, 2021, the Supreme Court dismissed both appeals and affirmed the judgment of the Court of Appeal, Kano, including the finding by the Court of Appeal, Kano, that Oye was the national chairman of APGA. The first and second respondent in the appeal are All Progressives Grand Alliance and Chief Victor Ike Oye, respectively. It is instructive that Edozie Njoku unsuccessfully applied to be joined as a respondent in this appeal. His application for joinder was dismissed by the Supreme Court. Again, by another judgment of the Anambra State High Court delivered on July 19, 2021, in suit number A/201/2021, by Sir Sylvester Ezeokenwa. Incidentally, at that time, I was the National Legal Advisor of APGA, and I took this individual to court. The court upheld the right of the national officers of APGA, elected at the National Convention of APGA in Awka, to discharge the functions of their various offices under the APGA Constitution. The court, this is very important, the court further held that there was no evidence whatsoever that APGA conducted any national convention in Owerri on the say 31st of May 2019, and thus unequivocally stated that Edozie Njoku had no right to parade himself as the national chairman of APGA, and this pronouncement was made as far back as 2021. This judgment of the Anambra State High Court, that's the second one, was subsequently affirmed by the Court of Appeal in appeal number CA/AW/256/2021, Chief Edozie Njoku, because he appealed to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal stated that he was bound by its previous decision by the Court of Appeal, Kano, confirming that the National Convention held on May 31, 2019, elected Victor Oye as the validly elected chairman of APGA. In her concurring judgment, my Lord Honorable Justice Domba Mensam, the President of the Court of Appeal, reiterated that the Court of Appeal is stopped from rehearing the matter regarding APGA leadership from the 2019 National Convention. INEC was the third respondent in this appeal yet again. Now, falsification of Supreme Court judgment by Chief Edozie Njoku. In an attempt to mislead Nigerians and portray himself as the national chairman of APGA, Chief Edozie Njoku sometime in May 2022 falsified the Supreme Court judgment delivered in favor of APGA and Chief Victor Oye. What did Njoku do? On the face of the judgment, he deleted the name of the second respondent on record, Chief Victor Oye, and inserted his own name, Chief Edozie Njoku, in place thereof. Armed with the falsified judgment, he wrote to INEC and demanded recognition as APGA National Chairman and issuance of access code for uploading list of APGA candidates in the 2023 general election to the INEC candidate nomination portal. Naturally, INEC ignored him and refused to issue him an access code meant for APGA. INEC was a party to the proceedings at the Supreme Court. The Commission therefore knew who the parties on record were. So INEC ignored the despicable request of Chief Njoku for recognition and collection of access code. This led to the commencement of suit number FHC/ABJ/CS/1750/2022, APGA and others versus INEC and others, by Chief Edozie Njoku using his proxies. Incidentally, the second plaintiff in this suit was Chief Chekwas Okorie, who claimed to have been nominated by Chief Edozie Njoku as the presidential candidate of APGA. And that's why I wrote using Chief Chekwas Okorie and others as proxies. On 30th of September 2022, at the Federal High Court, Abuja, the sole aim of the suit was to compel INEC to recognize him as APGA National Chairman. And now, to the crux of the matter, the ruling of the Supreme Court that corrected an accidental slip in the final judgment of October 14, 2021. In January 2023, Chief Edozie Njoku filed an application to the Supreme Court seeking for the correction of a slip on page 13 of the judgment of the Supreme Court delivered on 14th of October 2021. On the same page 13, the Supreme Court, while highlighting the background facts that led to the commencement of the suit at the trial Jigawa State High Court, erroneously mentioned Chief Victor Oye instead of Chief Edozie Njoku, and will explain this. At the trial court in Jigawa, the claim of the plaintiffs was that Edozie Njoku was a national chairman and he was removed and replaced by one Chief Jude Okeke. Meanwhile, there was no judicial pronouncement to that effect. He had no recognition by INEC. In fact, previously, he had filed a suit against INEC at the Federal High Court, presided over by Honorable Justice A.R. Muhammad, who is now a justice of the Court of Appeal, for INEC, for an order of mandamus to compel INEC to recognize him as a national chairman. This was filed in 2020. And in 2021, the court struck out the suit, saying that the issues raised in that suit border on the internal affairs of APGA and therefore non-justiciable. So at the time this suit in Jigawa was filed, INEC never accorded him any recognition as the national chairman of APGA. Now, on the said page 13, the Supreme Court, while highlighting the background fact that led to the commencement of the suit at the trial Jigawa State High Court, erroneously mentioned Chief Victor Oye instead of Chief Ezeokenwa. By ruling of the Supreme Court delivered on the 24th of March 2023, the Supreme Court corrected the error and swapped the names of Chief Victor Oye with Chief Ezeokenwa on page 13 of its earlier judgment of 14th of October 2021. The Supreme Court, however, warned at page 26 of the ruling of the court, delivered by Honorable Justice Muhammad Lawal Garuba, that the correction of the error, mistake, or slip in the judgment does not in any plausible way review, vary, or substitute the operative or substantive part of the judgment, delivered on the 14th of October 2021. Despite this clarification at page 26 of the ruling, Chief Ezeokenwa and his group went to town with the fake news that the Supreme Court has deleted Chief Oye as national chairman of APGA and replaced him with Chief Ezeokenwa. Now, judgment of the Federal High Court in the suit instituted by his proxies, like I said earlier on. While the media frenzy was raging that the Supreme Court has deleted Victor Oye as national chairman of APGA and inserted Njoku as a replacement, the Federal High Court, Abuja, presided over by Honorable Justice James Omotosho, delivered a landmark and significant judgment in the suit commenced by the proxies of Chief Ezeokenwa, like I said earlier on, Chief Chekwa Sokodi and co. His lordship held that Chief Ezeokenwa is not the national chairman of APGA, according to his lordship at page 37 of the judgment. And I quote, I'm quoting the Honorable Justice now. It is clear from the above decision of the appellate court that the validly elected chairman of the party is Chief Victor Oye and not Chief Ezeokenwa, as claimed by the plaintiffs. Contrary to the claim of the plaintiffs that the Supreme Court mistakenly put the name of Chief Victor Oye instead of the name of Chief Ezeokenwa, it is apparent to this court that the correction of a slip in a name by the Supreme Court has no effect on the validity of the judgment that confirmed Chief Victor Oye as national chairman of the party. How can correction of accidental slip in a body of a judgment affect it when the Supreme Court clearly in its conclusion affirmed the judgment of the court below, that is the Court of Appeal Kano, including the findings made by the Court of Appeal Kano that Chief Victor Oye was the national chairman of APGA? It must be emphasized that in arriving at the above conclusion, the Federal High Court first determined that the corrected judgment, Supreme Court judgment of 24th of March 2023, did not in any way declare Chief Ezeokenwa as national chairman of APGA. Again, on the 5th of April 2023, another Federal High Court, Oka Division, in suit number FHC/AWK/CS/202-2022, instituted yet by some other proxies of Ezeokenwa, the Federal High Court Quorum Honorable Justice H.A. Ngajiwa, relying on the same corrected Supreme Court judgment of 24th March 2023, determined that the Apex Court did not pronounce Chief Ezeokenwa as the national chairman of APGA. Revealingly, on June 2nd, 2023, the Court of Appeal Abuja upheld the earlier pronouncement of the Federal High Court Abuja Division, quoted above, and dismissed the appeal of the appellant, who are proxies of Chief Ezeokenwa. And then the official Supreme Court statement on Chief Ezeokenwa. As a matter of fact, counsel to Chief Ezeokenwa had, on the 15th of May 2023, applied to the Supreme Court for commencement of committal proceedings against the chairman of INEC for alleged disobedience of the Supreme Court judgment delivered on the 14th of October 2021 and corrected on 24th of March 2023. By a letter dated the 6th of June 2023, the Honorable the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Olukayoda Ariwola, GCON, notified counsel to Njoku that since the Supreme Court had held on October 14, 2021, that who should be the acting national chairman of the party is within the confines of internal affairs of the party, which is non-justiciable, the court could not have made any consequential order recognizing Chief Edozie Njoku as the national chairman of APGA. Since no order to that effect was made by the court, the national chairman of INEC did not disobey any. End of quote. Judgment of the FCT High Court Buhari, which is now the main judgment in question. On the same 6th of June 2023 that the Supreme Court notified Chief Edozie Njoku as follows, the court could not have made any consequential order recognizing Chief Edozie Njoku as the national chairman of APGA. Proxies of the same Chief Edozie Njoku obtained the judgment from the FCT High Court Buhari. By the said judgment in suit number FCT/HC/CV/4068-2023, Otumba Kamaru Latif Ogidan and another, versus Chief Victor Ikoye and another, the FCT High Court declared inter alia that the actions of the first respondent, this is very instructive, that the actions of the first respondent, Chief Victor Oye, posing and parading himself and occupying the party's secretariat as the national chairman of APGA, contrary to the judgment and order of the Supreme Court made on the 14th of October 2021 and corrected on the 24th March 2023, is in disobedience and in clear violation of the judgment of the Supreme Court. As stated earlier, nowhere in the entire text of the judgment of the FCT High Court did the trial court make any pronouncement either on the validity of the purported national convention held in Owerri or on the alleged chairmanship of Edozie Njoku. Essentially, all the reliefs sought by the plaintiffs in the said suit as proxies of Edozie Njoku were ignored by the learned trial judge. Again, it is pertinent to point out that APGA was not a party to that suit that gave rise to the above judgment. Tellingly, as at 6th of June 2023, when the FCT High Court made its declaratory judgment against Oye, Chief Victor Ikoye had since ceased to be the national chairman of APGA, having handed over the reins of leadership to the current national officers of APGA under my leadership. Now, questionable representation by INEC. Having given this detailed context to this issue, we have raised interesting posers for INEC and to enable right-thinking Nigerians to assess the situation under review. We are therefore at loss regarding the recent false representation by INEC that Chief Edozie Njoku and his group are the national executive of APGA by order of court. We challenge the commission to produce any court order wherein the court has made any positive pronouncement recognizing Chief Edozie Njoku and his associates as national officers of APGA. We firmly assert that no such court order exists anywhere. The current representation by INEC concerning Chief Edozie Njoku and his group is false, illegal, baseless, and without any justification. INEC, as an institution created by the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is duty-bound to operate strictly within the confines of the law. It portends grave danger for our democracy for INEC to arrogate to itself the unfettered powers to determine who the national officers of a political party are without recourse to due process. Ladies and gentlemen, it is abundantly clear from the plethora of court judgment and rulings that the legitimate leadership of APGA is firmly under my humble self, Barrister Sylvester Ezeokenwa. As a law-abiding political party, we have written INEC through our team of lawyers on the correct position. We trust that INEC will act swiftly to rectify any misinformation and uphold the integrity of our party's leadership as ruled by various courts of law. In light of this clear judicial determination, we urge INEC to correct this misinformation promptly. The sanctity of accurate information is critical to maintaining the trust and confidence of the public in our electoral processes. INEC duly monitored the legitimate APGA National Convention held on May 31, 2023 at the International Conference Center, ICC, Awka, Anambra State, in accordance with binding statutory provisions, and subsequently issued a report. The certified true copy of the monitoring report duly issued to us by INEC contains the list of current and duly elected national officers of APGA. We expect INEC to act responsibly and rectify the publication to reflect the legitimate leadership of APGA under Barrister Sylvester Ezeokenwa. APGA remains united under its legitimate leadership, and we will continue to pursue the best interests of our party members and the nation at large. We urge the Commission to respect and always be bound by the outcome of its monitored national convention held by APGA, as well as the judgment of the court. And before I conclude, Aaron, Chief Chekwas Okorie is not a member of APGA. If Chief Chekwas is a duly registered member of APGA, I will know. I know his word in APGA. I spoke with his ward chairman, and there is no record of such a personality in the register of APGA. In fact, prior to the 2023 general election, and in line with the provisions of Section 77, subsection 3, or I think subsection 2 of the Electoral Act, that mandates political parties to submit register of its members to the Commission before any convention or any primaries. We submitted our register, and so it is now public record, domiciled with the Independent National Electoral Commission. So you can get the record of register of members of APGA in his ward, and you find out whether he's a member. This one is no longer a case of whether those records are with me. Yes, they are with us, and they are still domiciled in INEC. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's all.